The anime starts with a big white dragon who finds himself trapped in bondage as the hero of the world strikes with his final load. Puzzled, the dragon reflects that, to his knowledge, he has never done anything to warrant a human attack. In fact, he has even allied with them on several occasions. Breaking free from the chains, the legendary creature gazes at the moon and acknowledges that he's lived a long life. He thought that this is an unfitting end for a divine dragon who has existed since the age of gods. However, he accepts the hero's shots and begins to crumble away. As he faces the end, the dragon looks forward to his eternal rest. But the anime gods have other plans. He is reincarnated as a human, born to a family who names him Dullin. Years pass, and Dullin grows into a young man living in the small village of Varen, on the northern border of the continental kingdom of Arrest. The village thrives on agriculture, and Dullin works hard in the fields to earn his daily bread. At 16, he's already considered an adult, having left his family home the previous year to live on his own as is customary in the village. One day, Dullin goes fishing with his older brother, who asks about his upcoming journey to investigate the swamp. Your family who once lived there vanished about a month ago, and the village needs to figure out why, as they relied on them for trade. His brother notes that this task should fall to the garrison, not Dullin, but the former dragon explains that Captain Balon and the others are too busy defending the village. His brother offers to accompany him, but Dullin reassures him that he'll be fine. While talking, Dullin catches a massive fish after a brief struggle. On his way back to the village, he runs into Marita and Albert, who comment on his impressive catch. Dullin thanks Marita for convincing the village chief to allow him to go on the mission. She humbly says it's the least she can do since he helps with the training sessions for the children. Albert advises Dullin to focus on preparing for the journey, as there are dangerous monsters and bandits near the village. With limited soldiers, the outskirts can enjoy the same level of protection as the cities, so the villagers must defend themselves. Back home, Dullin preserves the fish so it won't spoil. Just as he finishes, Ares stops by to remind him of their magic practice. She secretly has a crush on Dullin but hides it, claiming she just happened to be in the area. During practice, Dullin demonstrates his impressive offensive magic, perfectly hitting the target with an energy bolt. His master is impressed but reminds him they also need to work on magical healing, which was Dullin's weakest subject. After the lesson, the village chief introduces Dullin to Christina, a noblewoman who will be staying in the village for a while. The chief warns Dullin to be respectful due to her status. Soon after, Dullin and Christina exchange greetings and briefly share a moment as they look into each other's eyes. The chief then continues to show Christina around the village, and Dullin notes her poise and grace. Later, Dullin visits his family to deliver food. He reflects on the harsh weather of the village, where winters are freezing and summers blistering. He's surprised by how humans manage to survive in such extreme conditions. His parents and younger brother warmly greet him, and his mother prepares a delicious meal. During dinner, his father teases him, suggesting that living alone must get lonely and that he should find a wife, as his older brother did. But Dullin insists he's okay with being single for now. The conversation then shifts to his upcoming journey, and his mother expresses concern about the dangers of the road. However, Dullin reassures her that he won't take any unnecessary risks and that the trip is purely investigative. Hearing this, his father trusts his son's judgment, believing he can make his own decisions. But the only thing he asks is that Dullin returns home safely to spare his mother any worry. He then promises to come back with a great story to tell. On the morning of his departure, Captain Balon expresses again that the mission should be handled by soldiers, but Marita reminds him that with a high risk of monster attacks, they can't afford to leave the village undefended. Letitia, the village gnome, gives Dullin a simple blessing from their goddess, and his master tells him that her fortune-telling hints at a faint sense of danger, urging him to stay cautious. Airy, blushing, hands Dullin a packed lunch she made for him. With everything in place, Dullin sets off for the swamp. He arrives without incident and surveys the scene. Taking a deep breath, Dullin removes his gloves and touches the swamp's water to sense what's wrong. He soon realizes why the lizard people fled. The earth elemental's power has surged, while the water elementals has weakened. His master's fortune-telling had been right again. But soon, Dullin's attention is drawn to some rustling in the bushes. He draws his sword, knowing that only powerful monsters can survive in the swamp in its current state. However, he is surprised when a baddie named Selena emerges. Selena calls Dullin foolish for coming alone, but he brushes off her remark, noting that it's strange to see demi-humans like her in this area. Despite the danger, he can't help but notice that she is as beautiful as the rumors suggest. Selena seems relieved when Dullin confirms he's alone and tries to charm him with a dance passed down by her mother. However, she can't remember the steps and ends up looking more silly than alluring. Exhausted, she admits that she didn't come to fight, but before they can discuss further, your mom suddenly appears. The creature lashes out at Selena, but Dullin cuts off its hand before it can harm her. As the monster begins to regenerate, Dullin grabs Selena, pulling her into hiding. He explains that the creature is a mad elemental, likely the reason the lizard people fled. He suspects that a recent earthquake disturbed the elemental, driving it mad. Unfortunately, there's no way to calm it down, so they have no choice but to destroy it. The two quickly introduce themselves, and Dahlin asks if she can use magic. Selena, being an earth-type monster herself, doubts her magic will be effective against the elemental. However, she believes her unique racial spell might work. They soon devise a plan. Dahlin will confront the creature directly while Selena supports him from a distance. She starts reciting her spell with a tone that sounds almost like wedding vows, causing her to blush in embarrassment when Dahlin points it out. Selena summons a giant snake that constricts the elemental, buying Dahlin enough time to launch his attack. Selena cheers as they defeat the monster, but she gets splattered with mud in the process. Dahlin quickly checks to ensure she isn't hurt and thanks her for her help. He then collects the gems dropped by the defeated creature. After cleaning up, Selena sits beside Dahlin as he prepares a pot of soup. She's surprised that he's not afraid of her, unlike most humans. Dahlin remarks that she's different from the other Lamias he's met, who are typically more wary and aggressive towards humans. Curious, he asks why she's in the area, as there aren't any Lamia villages nearby. Selena reveals that when Lamias turns 17, they must leave their village to search for a husband, and she is now on that journey herself. Selena explains further, providing some background on her race. Lamias are an all-female species, and it's rare for them to give birth to male offspring. When they do, the child is always of the father's race. The Lamias originated when a cursed human woman passed her affliction to her female descendants. Due to their partially snake nature, their body fluids contain venom, meaning they must choose husbands with strong, venom-resistant bodies. Dahlin sympathizes with her, acknowledging that it must be harder for Lamias to find partners than it is for other races. Selena shares that her mother also met her father on a journey. He was a human like Dahlin, and she's touched by how well her parents got along. She feels Dahlin is treating her like a child with his kind responses, but he reassures her that's not the case. In fact, he finds her cute, which makes her blush. He serves her a bowl of soup, admitting it's not as good as his mother's cooking, but it's still tasty. Selena takes a bite and is overwhelmed by the meal, praising its rich flavor and aroma. Realizing she's getting overly excited, she stops herself and apologizes. Dahlin smiles, telling her that his mother taught him how to cook. He's glad she likes it, recalling how his family would gather around the pot on cold nights. Selena, noticing the warmth in his voice, comments that it's clear how much he loves his family. Dahlin agrees, reflecting to himself that the lonely dragon he once was is no more. The two spend the night bonding over stories of their families. As dawn breaks, they prepare to part ways. Dahlin shakes Selena's hand and wishes her luck in finding a great husband. He mentions that Lamias are fond of life energy, so he gives her a small amount of his own, only to accidentally overwhelm her with the strength of his draconic energy, causing her to fall. He quickly apologizes, realizing that a dragon's life energy might be too potent for her. Before leaving, Dahlin tells her he's returning to his village, but hopes that one day she'll visit with her future husband. They bid each other farewell and head off to their respective destinations. This then marks the end of today's anime recap. If you enjoyed the video and want more of it, please support the channel by leaving a like and subscribe. Let's help us reach our current goal of 20,000 subscribers.